During the industrial age, nations were rich if they had gold, if they had minerals and resources. They were rich and powerful. Today, that's flipped the other way. Now it's technology. Look at the countries that have leaped to the front. Singapore, Japan, Korea. They don't have natural resources. Where's the gold? Where's all the minerals and resources in Japan? Japan has no oil. But you see, it's human power, because the economy is slowly making a transition from commodity capitalism to intellectual capitalism. For example, England derives more revenue from rock and roll than the coal mining industry. Think about that. Rock and roll is a product of the mind. It cannot be mass produced. While commodities like food, you can mass produce food, better crops, better containerization, better shipping, mass production. Crops have been dropping, food has been dropping in price for 200 years. So the economy of the future is going to be more and more intellectual capital, which means investing in education. It means several things. Sponsoring entrepreneurship, meaning less regulation on small companies, less taxes on small companies, more innovative policies, encouraging universities to graduate more people to become part of the future, and realize that that is our resource. Our precious resource is the mind. So we have to educate our people, make it possible for them to start companies, to use that knowledge to create value and products, reduce regulation, reduce taxes, encourage universities. It's no secret. It's a question of political will. It's a question of whether our country says this is going to be our future. For example, I once talked to the former Prime Minister of Singapore, and he said that after World War II, they got together and they said, oh, Singapore is a mess. People know Singapore as a place for smugglers, pirates, gangsters. That's where Singapore was. But they got together and they said, no, what do we have? We have a semi-educated population that's unified, that has energy, no civil wars, no religious wars, people who are semi-educated and unified. That's the resource that they could tap into. So it's a question of political will. I was just in Dubai a few months ago, and the people in Dubai told me that they copied Singapore. They grew up, some of them grew up in Singapore, they're Arabs, they grew up in Singapore, they saw how this poor nation of smugglers and pirates became this gigantic powerhouse of the future, and they said, well, Dubai can do it. People said, no. Your grandparents lived with camels, and your parents, they grew up with animals. How can you become a modern society? But look at Dubai today. It's a question of willpower. The society of the future will be a combination of commodity capital and intellectual capital. You use commodity capital as a leverage to build up cash so that you can invest in intellectual capital. It's a two-step process. First, you get the commodities, you get things you can touch and feel. You take that money and begin to bankroll, subsidize the high-tech sector and the sector that involves with intellectual capital. And it's a two-step process. So countries that only invest in commodity capital will be poor. And so Russia can say, well, look, it has to be a two-step process. We just can't rely upon oil. In the coming decade or so, or 2 decades, the internet will be in your contact lens. You'll simply blink and you'll be online. When I see you, I'll see your biography next to your image. If you speak to me in Chinese, my contact lens will translate Chinese into any language. So it'll reduce barriers between people. Second, the next jump is to BrainNet, where we no longer simply use our contact lens, but the brain itself communicates with other brains. We already do this in the laboratory: telepathy, telekinesis, even recording memories and recording images. We can do that in the laboratory. We physicists have figured out how to read blood flow in the living brain to extract images. Artists will love it because they'll be able to create artworks by thinking, and a 3D printer will print it out. This will also reduce barriers between people because we'll understand how they feel. It's one thing to say that you're suffering, who knows? It's another thing to feel it, to feel that yes, this person is suffering. So we'll begin to understand people suffering more. And I think the big winner in all of this is democracy, because as knowledge spreads because of the internet, you empower people. People feel empowered with knowledge. That creates more democracy. And democracies do not war with other democracies. Think of all the wars of the past. They've always been between dictators, kings, queens, never between two major democracies. And so I think that democracy itself will also spread with the spreading of the internet.